Southern California. They got the Rams tonight. Belichick said after the game against the Chargers on Sunday, maybe this is why Bill is Bill. You win 45-0. Time to take a deep breath. Not so much. He goes, we went right back to the hotel and watched some film because we knew we didn't have to get on a plane. He actually said this was like a home game because they didn't get back on a plane. So he just sort of felt like we're ready to go. 2 games in 4 or 5 days.
No, it's interesting how they have to plan for everything. They're in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is shut down, so that's a plus for them. He doesn't have to worry about guys doing things that they shouldn't be doing because there's nothing to do. It's a plus that they don't have to fly all the way back east and then go all the way back west on a short week. It allows them to focus in just on the Rams and get that game plan exactly like he wants it. And speaking of a game plan, He's 2-0 against Sean McVay and company in Jared Goff. Jared Goff's only completing 47% of his passes against the New England Patriots. So that game plan will certainly be in place when you look for it. It's going to be an exciting game tonight. I can't wait to watch it because last night I couldn't find – I was just like, what am I going to do? What is the – I tried to watch something and it's just like, oh, well, guess I go back to the ID network. Yes. But now tonight I'll be able to lock in on football.
We got spoiled with 2 Monday night games, a Tuesday night game. We got a Thursday night game. Let's go to the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line and welcome in Pat's insider, Mike Reese. We're going to talk about this, Mike, with the fellas in just a little bit. But because you're there, boots on the ground every day, what does your reporting tell you about the possibility of Cam, with his up and down season, being the Pats starter next season?
Zubin, Bill Belichick always likes to say my crystal ball is a little cloudy when we ask him questions like that. And I think that's the right answer because it's really to be determined. What I can tell you, boots on the ground, is that the Patriots have loved having Cam Newton here this year. He has come in and immersed himself in their team culture, has been a selfless leader. I think he's given nicknames to everyone from, the owner to the people serving the food to the team, which they love. And, his play has been up and down. And I think the big question as to whether he wouldn't be back is if they just feel ultimately that they need to do better in the passing game where they've been limited.
Mike, how do the Patriots feel about their playoff chances because they looked so bleak a couple weeks ago? Now we can see possible hope.
Keyshawn, one of the things that I've heard the last 2 weeks from them is that they feel like they're playing their best football of the season right now, and it's because they've found their identity. The way they need to play to win games, and if they play that way, they feel like they're a very good team. And to sort of sum up that formula, it's downhill, physical running game led by Cam Newton and Damian Harris. Defensively, it's opportunistic, led by Stephon Gilmore, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, who sort of turned up his game the last couple weeks. And it's dominating on special teams. It's putting pressure on the other side in the kicking game, where they're making big-time plays.
They take on the Rams tonight out in Los Angeles, as we mentioned, in Thursday Night Football. What is it that they need to do, though, that you're hearing to allow them to beat the Rams?
So, Keyshawn, start with this. Jared Goff, Zubin mentioned it just sort of entering this segment here. Put pressure on him and make him react to different things in front of him. They've had success with that in the past. So you got to start there defensively. And then offensively, you just have to score enough. This is not a potent offense. This isn't Tom Brady to Randy Moss to Wes Welker to Dante Stallworth. But if they can complement the defense by holding on to the ball, extending drives, and maybe getting some bonus points on special teams, like, where they block a field goal, return it for a touchdown, return a punt for a touchdown like they did against the Chargers. That right there is the complementary formula they need.
Mike, how likely is it that Cam Newton will be a starter next year?
That's a great question, Jay, and I think it's hard because you're widening it out to the 32-team landscape, and I think here in New England, it was clear, like, this guy, we feel like he gives us the best chance based on what we have. Now you get to the off season, you get a whole new influx of quarterbacks coming into the league in the draft. I think he's on the edge, Jay. Like, I look at it, and I'm like, if there's 32 starters in the league, I think he's more in the 25 to 35 range. So I think there will be opportunity for him there, but he might have to go compete and win a job. And how much he wants to do that, I think that'll be interesting to see.
It's a fascinating point. Mike has him pinned at 25 to 30, but just 5 years ago, he was the best player in football as the clear-cut MVP, the best player in a 15-1 team. It says a lot how fast this league moves. Mike, thank you very much. We'll look for your work tonight on ESPN.com as soon as the game ends.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great one.
Mike.
Thank you. That's Mike Reese. He's with the Pats 24/7, 365. So, all right. So that Mike weighing in, essentially saying he's a 25 to 30. Obviously, there are 32 starters. The Pats clearly love having him around. He answered that as well. All right, Key, a year from now, Cam Newton, Pat starter?
I think he will be. When you say 25 to 30, I understand what Mike Reese is saying right there, because when you look at it, there are teams that have quarterbacks that don't need quarterbacks.
True.
So it's like, you can go from the West all the way to the East and go through every single division and conference, and you can point out, okay, they need a quarterback, they don't need a quarterback, it'll be some movie. And so you start to look at it, and it puts him in that 25 to 30 category. I think when you look at what he's been able to do this year, a powerful running game, not just because he has been inaccurate at times throwing the football and bouncing balls at people's feet or throwing it over people's heads, it's also he doesn't have any other weapons around him. So he's not getting the necessary help that will allow him to evolve in the Patriots passing game. So what you do is you do what helps you win football games, which is Damian Harris, with Cam Newton running the football and becoming bullish. That is how you win. And next year, maybe in the offseason, they acquire people via trade, free agency, through the draft that will help the offense become better. And I think that they are playing their best football right now. And I think if they get into the playoffs, and if they don't get into the playoffs, there's a strong chance of the possibility he will be the Patriots quarterback next year.
I think he will be by default. Now, it depends upon how economically efficient you could be with his contract moving forward. Key, I would ask you, what kind of money do you think he would want, or he would?
He's making $1 million with a little bit of incentives, whatever that is this year. I think you probably give him a bigger base salary, not in that double-digit range, but somewhere in that better than backup range quarterback, because backup quarterbacks are making probably $7 million right now, some quality backups. No, when you think about some of the quality backups, the Marcus Mariota, who's not even on the field this year, is making $8 million.
Chase Daniel, those guys.
Yeah, those guys are making money. So, Jay, you figure out that, plus you give him some proven incentive deals and helps push him up.
And you get a lot of players back, right, that have opted out. Your team looks
a lot of players have opted out, but not the number. I think was like 8 or 10 or something like that. But those guys, it's only like 3 of them that actually would make a difference.
I'm just talking about get your team completely back.
Yes.
Potentially, instead of bringing on a new quarterback, absorbing that cost, you're able to get him for a lower cost. It depends upon how Bill Belichick, if he wants to stay committed to that style of play, if he sees a future with that style of play with Cam Newton, or if he wants to be more of a pass-first offense.
Think about, well, he can still be a pass-first offense. You just have to retool some stuff on offense. Think about, he's been without Julian Edelman for a while, which is a key. They don't have any tight ends. Not really. They don't have any tight ends. So when you don't have certain things, no matter who you are, and I had this conversation with the guys up in Boston the other day, and I was telling them, I said, man, if y'all had Tom Brady, if you had the great Tom Brady right now, you might be good for one more victory based on all of that stuff around you. There's nobody. Like Jacoby Myers is their best wide receiver. An undrafted guy who worked his tail off to make the 53-man and make it somewhat of an impact on the offense. They don't have anything. And they don't have anything because they've been running the ball consistently for the last several weeks. And the coaching staff realizes we can't throw the ball, and it's just not Cam Newton. It's these guys can't separate. It's a wasted pick on N'Keal Harry, the receiver out of Arizona State, who in 2 years has done nothing. I mean, he's just a body with a number. And so when you start to look at those sort of things as a team, you're like, what gives us the best chance to win, Jay? Running the football and playing defense, much like Mike Reese said. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. I know we want to see him throw the ball everywhere because we're looking at Aaron Rodgers and we're looking at Drew Breeses and we're looking at Russell Wilson's and Patrick Mahomes, and we think you got to throw the ball everywhere. That's not true.
No, I'm not saying you have to throw the ball everywhere. I'm just wondering what style Bill Belichick wants to play moving forward after this year.
And then when you talk
that's
about
the question.
You talk about quarterbacks that could potentially be available, think about the money.
That's what I said, absorb the cost.
Think about the cost, like you said, the money, the assets that you have to give up to maybe acquire some of those guys that now has to learn the system, been in the system for a long time. Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, maybe Jimmy G is available to you, but do you want Jimmy G? Do you feel like that's a real option for you? You start to look at maybe there's a Jameis Winston on a 1-year deal from New Orleans. Does Jameis really want to leave New Orleans to come be with you in New England when he has an opportunity in New Orleans to maybe be the guy next year instead of Taysom Hill? So you start to kind of look at the quarterbacks that could potentially be available to you next year, and is Cam Newton a better fit than those guys?
That's a big question. The financial commitment to him this year by NFL standards is paltry. Totally agree with you on N'Keal Harry. There's the old cliche, he's always hurt. The old cliche, you can't make the club in the tub. And that's one of those situations for him. He just can't get through it. Keyshawn, J. Will Zubin, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Look, we all accidentally damage our phones. It happens. Now, Straight Talk Wireless new Platinum Unlimited plan includes phone protection, just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, data, and more. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply. So that's a lot of chatter on Cam, what his short-term and long-term future might be. Long-term future, according to Key and many others, is very bright for Jared Goff. But our ESPN Rams reporter, Lindsey Theory, QB on the other sideline tonight, weighing in and evaluating kind of the up and down play, at least the last couple weeks for Jared Goff.
A week after Goff turned in a 3-turnover performance and a loss to the 49ers, he bounced back with a nearly flawless effort against the Cardinals. But we all know what kind of fits Bill Belichick and the Patriots caused the Rams offense in Super Bowl 53, and that's the last time these two teams met. But the Pats again this year are bringing the pressure. They rank 6th in the league in pressure rate, and Goff tells me at this point now we've seen a little bit of everything this year, and we have good plans for whatever the defense might show. Now, Sean McVay did double down on what Goff said, saying we've got to be ready to handle a variety of looks, but he expressed confidence that Goff will be able to do that.
And you totally agree with that.
It's unbelievable, yeah, because I was on NFL Live yesterday, and one of the things that we talked about was this matchup tonight. And one of the things that I said was, if this game is not about Sean McVay versus Bill Belichick, it's about the defensive-minded system that's in New England versus Jared Goff. Because Sean McVay, once he calls the play into the headset, Jay, and that headset goes off, he can't help Jared Goff. He can't help him in pre-snap reads anymore. Now Jared Goff has to decipher what's in front of him, be able to get them in and out of bad plays, make sure that he understands that he's going to get a ton of different looks. It's not going to be vanilla. He's not going to be able to walk up to the line of scrimmage and just say, oh, they're in man-to-man. I know what to do with the football. It's not going to happen that way. One time they may be in man, at the snap of the ball, all of a sudden they're in the they're in the 2 zone. Then all of a sudden they're in quarters in the secondary, or maybe they're an all-out blitz coming, and then all of a sudden they're dropping 8. I mean, it's all sorts of different stuff that he has to decipher and understand and be precise at it. Because once that pressure starts to come, that's when Jared Goff gets into trouble. There's like a certain panic that sets in. And Sean McVay will not be there to help you out at the snap of the ball.
We talked about this yesterday about the NFC, about, if you had to rank Super Bowl contenders, how would you do that? Would you have the Saints probably be number 1, Green Bay number 2, and we kind of flirted with the Rams being number 3, right? They're a team that can contend for a Super Bowl. In order for me to get on the bandwagon of the Rams, I'm already on the bandwagon of their defense. I've been questioning Jared Goff this whole time. Key, you've been telling me he's one of the best quarterbacks there is in the league, correct?
Yeah.
So in order for him to do
it.
that, I want to see him go next level against a defense that is going to throw an array of defenses at him. This is like a big boy game for him to really make a statement about, hey, this is different than the Super Bowl where they only held us to 3 points. I'm a different version of who I was, and I'm going to prove that by showing you on Thursday Night Football that I made the right steps in the right directions to take our team to win a Super Bowl.
And look, and when you look at it, last week, He didn't turn the football over. If he does that, they win the game. It's not difficult to see. Right. You turn it over, you're going to lose. If you stay clean and you don't turn the ball over, your chances increases at winning the game against the New England Patriots. It's not that difficult. They've got a lot of playmakers on the offense, whether it's Brown and Henderson at the back, whether it's Everett and Higbee at tight end, whether it's Cooper Kupp, Reynolds, Jefferson, and Woods at the receiver spot.
Akers.
I mean, it's so many pieces to play with. But it all boils down to number 16. Mm-hmm. If Pencil Neck does not turn the ball over, they'll be fine. Buddy, I could call him Pencil Neck. If Jared doesn't turn the ball over, and I've told Jared that a million times, don't turn the ball over and you'll be fine, man. Just don't turn it over.
Let's pencil in this player.